This is What School Didn't Teach Me, a podcast meant to build community on all the things school doesn't prepare you for. Hi, I'm your host, Jasmine Piamber, and class is in session.
Well, bye. Me and this mic, okay? Hey, classmates, it's your host, Jasmine Piamber. And welcome back to another episode of What School Didn't Teach Me. Welcome. Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope your week has been great. Oh, it's Tuesday. Still, I hope your week is going great. Hope your week is going great. Hope it continues to go great. Hope you put a little God in your day. That's what I really hope. I hope you put a little God in your day. I hope you put a little God in your day. We put a little God in your week. Hope you've reached out to your friends since we've started talking this month. I hope you've scheduled some time with your friends, okay? I hope you're learning how to nurture the relationships you have. I hope you're enjoying sisterhood. Speaking of sisterhood, I hope you enjoyed last week where my good sister Peyton Meters came and spoke to us about what it meant to be a sister. Okay, y'all, that is something I'm definitely still really, really working on because growing up, even now, I think I have more girlfriends than guy friends. But like growing up, I always had more guy friends. But I was never one that was like, oh, girls are too messy, girls are too fake, girls will do this, girls will do that. No, it was just guys. It was just easier for me to hang out with guys for whatever reason. Like I was quirky and weird and I wasn't gonna change and hide that for anybody, and therefore guys were also quirky and weird and weren't going to change that or hide that for anybody. And while I was not getting caught up in trying to impress the guy, you feel me, we could equally be ourselves around each other. So now getting older and realizing like, oh no, I need girls. Like I need girls around me like all the time. Like I need girls. I need somebody to talk to about I need somebody to talk to about press-ons and hair color and this and that and boys and all of that. And I can't do that with my guys. They're good, but they're like, they don't have it. You feel me? My guy friends can tell me like I had a guy friend help me pick out this hair color. You feel me? Guy friends are good for some things, but like, they don't always have it like that. You feel me? So having sisterhood is definitely something that I'm learning to appreciate as I'm getting older, because now I have so many like-minded women who are like driven and like love God and are so interested in the same things that I'm interested in, where it's like, oh wow, like to be a woman, it makes me prideful to be a woman and excited and happy to be a woman around other women. Yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. I feel like you're going to enjoy this week's episode, except it isn't as lighthearted, right? So I know y'all saw that the title of this episode is called Speak Up. And I know y'all saw that TikTok and it was like,
when I hop about the cut, I promise I'm going to make a scene. Got lights, cameras, action, but I promise.
That one. That's exactly what was on my mind when I was making this episode, because it was like he starts out mumbling like, I'm not gonna repeat it, but you peep, like the person is telling him like, speak up, like whatever you're talking about,
speak up,
and that is a message that I want to extend to you. You already know this month we talking about how we can invest in our friendships, and we can talk about all like the cute and fun things to do, like, oh yes, hang out with your friends, call your friends, oh yes, girlhood, sisterhood, womanhood, oh yes, nurturing the friendships that I've had my whole entire life. But none of that comes without really good communication that requires you to what? Speak up. Okay, so that's why today's episode is titled the way it is, because today we're going to be talking about nobody's favorite topic: conflict. No relationship you have can thrive without good conflict. Nobody. Like no relationship in this world has ever thrived and prospered without conflict. And by conflict, I don't mean like things that completely broke you apart and it took you years to come back together. No, but like, I want A, you want B. Let's come together so we can make C. So it's not like I'm not hanging out with you because you want B and I want A. You don't like me anymore because I want A and you want B. You feel me? Like that. If we lived our lives like that, we would not have any friends. I feel like I'm always talking about a post I saw, but that's because I need to get off of social media. But I saw this post and it was talking about like the effects of social media on just everyday people, right? And how on social media, if somebody does not agree with you, you can block them. You can mute certain key phrases, keywords. You can ultimately like blind yourself from a certain topic or discussion, to the point where now that we are in real life, when people do not agree with us, we tend to do the same thing. Like we either don't know how to react or don't know how to like actually debate with people or have conversations with people or resolve conflict. We just block them from our brains and from our circle. We just blind ourselves from them instead of working things out. We can do that with our friends too. We can be in situations where you don't agree with me and I don't agree with you, so we just not gonna hang out. I like the club and you like the library, but I don't like the library, so we just not finna hang out. Like, I don't like the library, you don't like the club, we just not finna be friends, we just not finna hang out. Like, I literally said this 2 episodes ago, we're not kids. We are not kids anymore, okay? Which means you can't cut somebody off for having conflict with you, or you shouldn't, not right away. But then also, you can't sweep things under the rug either. Those passive friendships where you have a problem and I have a problem, but we don't talk about it, those won't work either. If you want to be, and I know like we're all so obsessed with being the best version of ourselves, the most unapologetic version of ourselves, the version that we are proud of. How do you expect to do that with, and people are wanting to change their boundaries and to say no more and to do all of these things, all of these beautiful things. How are you expecting to do that if you, and not endure conflict? You just plan to hide from it the whole time? What? You just plan to ignore it, act like it doesn't exist? What? You just plan to let those people... That's why whenever I tell y'all about like friendships and relationships as we are growing and changing, I tell y'all to talk to those people first. When you are changing your boundaries, I tell you to talk to the people around you about your boundaries changing before you cut them off. Because if you don't say anything, but then, like, you don't explain anything to them. You don't explain anything. You don't say anything to them. But then y'all have conflict and neither one of you address it. And y'all cut each other off. You just cut somebody off for no reason. Y'all just, the relationship is severed for no reason. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, so I feel like one thing that needs to be taught is how to have healthy conflict, how to work out and solve healthy conflict. Because for a lot of people, it can be either we are in this blow up argument and I'm just going to be, for a lot of people, it can be if I say something, we're going to have this blow up argument. And if we have this blow up argument, we might not be friends anymore. So I'm just not going to say anything. Or you know what? This thing is so small, I'm not even going to mention it. But then it's this small thing and another small thing and another small thing and another. And my mom always says it's small foxes that spoil the vine. Yeah. It's small foxes that spoil the vine. You can't let those many things, those small things go unaddressed and unnoticed. That's not healthy for your friendship either. Blow-ups aren't healthy for your friendship, but neither is sweeping things under the rug. That's not how it goes. You know them relationships, you know, like how, have y'all ever seen on TikTok or on social media when they say like the group chat made it out, the trip made it out the group chat, but the group chat didn't make it out the trip? And how people be falling out on trips. I'm convinced that's because they already had previous conflict that they never worked out. They never sorted it out. And while I refuse to go to Miami because I refuse for that to happen to me, I feel like some of that stuff can be avoided when you talk stuff out. I really, really do. If you nip stuff in the bud, if you talk things out, if you speak up when something's bothering you, you won't have those kinds of problems. And I'll admit, like, ooh, hey girl. And I'll admit, I have not always been, I definitely used to be a person who let things sweep under the rug because I felt like I had to have like all of my words together if I was going to bring something up to somebody. Like if I was going to present a problem or present an issue, I felt like I had to have like all my ducks in a row, and that's just tiring and exhausting. So I used to just let stuff sweep under the rug, or I used to just not talk about things until I was ready to blow up. And that's obviously, we know that that's not healthy. So obviously this is something that I'm still working on as well. I keep telling y'all, I'll never talk about something that I'm not going through myself. So yeah, I'll never talk about something that I'm not going through myself. So it's definitely conflict, healthy conflict, working through things, not being so harsh and so rash on the people around me is definitely something that I'm still working on myself. Which is why I feel like it's important to talk about it, because I know I'm not the only one who's struggling, right? I just know I'm not the only one who's struggling. So look, let me flip through the pages of my notebook to get my notes out. Oh, okay. So here are the things that I have written down that help me when I am dealing with conflict. And I constantly feel like God is doing something new in my relationships. I feel like for the first time I feel settled. Like literally for the first time in like a year, I feel settled in my relationships, feel stable in my relationships. There are a couple of branches that I'm not sure if they're bearing fruit anymore. But for the most part, I feel like, okay, like the people who are here and they're here to stay. It's now about fine-tuning those relationships to make sure they align with what I really want, so that either talking to these people aren't draining to me, or we are connecting on the level that I really want us to, or like on the deeper level that I really want us to. You feel me? Or just making sure that I'm getting my needs met out of a relationship. Like I am working on taking up space in my friendships. I'm working on taking up space in my friendships and like using, like really, really talking to people about like what's going on in my life, how my life is going, all the things, right? But every now and again, like I could not get this far without having hard conversations with my friends, whether that be boundaries being set, like, hey, I don't appreciate when you call me at X time of day. Text me before you call me, or, let's set a time for us to talk. Or if it's like, if it's me feeling like somebody's not showing up for me the way that I'd really like them to, like I have had to have some pretty gut-wrenching, difficult conversations. And while I will admit that I was very anxious to have those conversations and could have avoided them, that would not have done the relationship any good. You feel me? So here's my list of things that I've written down that have helped me deal with conflict. 1, reminding myself that no one likes conflict, but that no good relationship thrives without conflict. People always remind me, or people always tell me how much they admire my mom and I's relationship, right? And I will admit, my mom and I have a great relationship. That's really my bestie. That's my A1 day one. Like, I love her to pieces. That's my girl. And y'all are going to meet her in a couple of episodes. I'm really, really excited about that. But people always tell me how much they admire our relationship. And I literally always tell them it was not always like that. And people don't know, like people don't have to know to what extent I mean that. You feel me? Because, life is life. But it's true. Like my mom and I now have the relationship that we have because we've had to have a lot of hard conversations. And if there's anybody on earth who I would be scared of, it would be my mom. I mean, I'm at this point where I'm not scared of her no more because that's my homegirl. But it's like, if there's anybody on this earth that I would be scared of, it would be my mom. Scared of losing, scared of upsetting, scared of falling out with, it would be my mom. So if my mom and I can have hard conversations and we can work things out in a healthy manner, why am I nervous, anxious, whatever, to do this with somebody who's my age? My feelings are valid. What I think is affecting our relationship, let me bring this up so we can work this out. You know, no relationship progresses and flourishes without conflict. You know, and it's through conflict where you create a deeper understanding of each other. Like, okay, I know that this bothers you. You don't like when I do this. This bothers you because of this reason. Okay, but you do really appreciate this. This is how I can get to know you better. XYZ, 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 right? Like, in my relationship, right? In my relationship, I've learned that this person does not like when I'm coming at them all hard and aggressive. Like, I don't like when you do this. I don't like when you do that. He don't want to hear that. Cool. But he can appreciate when I'm like, hey, I really, really like when you do XYZ that I like. I really, really appreciate when you do this. I really appreciate when you do that. In psychology, they call that positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement, right? I am showering them with compliments, with things that I like, with positive advice, positive reinforcement, so that they have a better understanding of who I am. So we don't have to have these arguments anymore. You feel me? So yes, no one likes conflict, but no good relationship can exist without it. That's number one. So if you think that you're going to run away from conflict, but you're planning to have your best friend at your wedding, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Like, literally delete that out of your brain right now. If you plan to have people at your wedding, if you plan to have people at your baby shower, if you plan to give your children godparents, but you think that this is going to happen without y'all having hard conversations, you're wrong. Throw that thought away. Throw it away. If you think you're going to be sitting in the nursing home with somebody, but y'all didn't have not one hard conversation, y'all didn't make each other cry not one time, y'all didn't work some problems out and have some anxious conversation not one time, throw it away. Throw the idea away. It's unrealistic. Sorry. If you think that hard conversations are ever really going to stop, throw that idea away, because we are constantly growing and evolving. And until we are very intentional about inquiring about other people's growths, you know, we don't want to box each other in. And then the more and more we box each other in, the more and more conversations need to be had. So yes, that's number one. Hard conversations need to be had, laying the foundation for the conversation we're about to talk about, because don't think that you are about to live your life avoiding hard conversations. You're going to be miserable if you do that. Sorry, not sorry. 2, your community, your friends are not mind readers. Don't make them read your mind. Let me say it again. Your friends, your community are not mind readers. Don't make them read your mind. As much as it seems like, oh, this person understands me. Oh, we're so in sync. Oh, we are the same in so many ways. They are not you. And y'all may finish each other's sentences. They are not mind readers. Which means when you have a problem, you have to use your words. You have to use your words. And I feel so strongly about this because that is one thing that has helped me in my mother's relationship, right? Growing up, she could give me a look and I just can attempt to figure out what's going on and how I can fix it. Now that I'm older, it's like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Use your words. I need you to use your words when you look at me so that I know what's happening so that we can fix the issue. Same thing with the friends around you. Your friends are not mind readers. So if everybody's having a good time laughing and da da this and da da that, and then you all of a sudden get mad at something somebody said, but you don't say that, you just get mad and walk away because you want somebody to come and chase after you, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. We're not kids. You need to be a big girl, a big boy, and use your words. Say, hey guys, I really don't like when we make that joke. Hey guys, I told you guys about this before. Hey, I know I put up with this in the past, but can we maybe not talk about that anymore? And use your words and give the people around you an opportunity to understand you a little better instead of being so reactionary. That's not going to work anymore. That's not going to work. It's not going to work, right? And I know because that used to be me, okay? That I know because I have had to learn how to use my words when things bother me, okay? How to stop being such a big baby, how to stop being such a brat, and use my words when I have conflict, okay? So yeah, don't let the people around you, don't make the people around you read your mind. If you are isolating yourself because something is going on in your life and you are completely ignoring everybody around you and they are fighting to get to you, but they can't, don't leave them in the dark. Use your words. Tell them what's going on with you. Even if it's hard, because I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Feelings are hard. Sometimes they feel disgusting. Sometimes they feel icky. Sometimes it feels terrible to like let those layers shed and be mushy and vulnerable with the people around you. But it's necessary. It's necessary. If you want to be anybody in this life, if you want to have anybody in this life, it is necessary that you start being honest about how you feel, that you start speaking up about what your body is feeling, what your brain is telling you, what you are feeling. It's time. It's time. It's time. So, if you are feeling down and you just want to be alone, tell your friends why. Don't make them crawl to the end of the earth to come and find you, to come and work things out with you, and you're not even receptive. No. Use your words. Speak up. Speak up. Yeah. Don't make the people around you read your mind because it's not fair to them. That's the truth. One, they're not mind readers. Nobody literally has that superpower. The only person who can for sure know what's going on in your mind is the Lord. But then two, it's not fair to them. It's exhausting to live, especially in this August heat. It is exhausting to live, breathe, do anything. It's more exhausting to be talking to a brick wall. Don't do that to the people you love. If you really love them, put your pride aside. Don't do that to them. Don't do that to them. Yeah. But also, when you use your words, make sure you're using kind words with the people around you. Make sure when you have a problem, after you gotten irritated and you walked away and your friends are going up to you trying to figure out what's wrong because they said something you didn't like, don't start blowing up on them. Make sure you're using kind words when you're setting boundaries with people. Make sure you're not popping off on people when you just need to be isolated. Make sure you are still talking to somebody. Here's how you got to think about it. When you have conflict, when you say things out of your mouth or when you type things through your phone, however y'all are communicating, make sure that you would still be friends with you after you say that. Like if you were on the other side of this and they said that exact same thing to you, would you still be cool with them? Would you still be friends with them? Or would you be like, yeah, no, you talking crazy. Like you think I'm some type of minion or something. You talking crazy. We can't be cool. We can't be cool. The people around you, they're not mind readers, nor are they your minions. Okay? So make sure when you're talking to them, you're taking deep breaths. And as the therapist say, using I statements. That has worked wonders for me. That has worked wonders for me in my communication skills. Instead of using accusatory language like, I hate when you do this and I don't like when you do this and you say you were going to do this, but you didn't do it. And I say, it means a lot to me when you come through like you say you're going to come through. It makes me feel angry when you don't come through when you say you're going to come through. When I feel angry, it makes me want to retreat. Like, that is how you should be communicating with people when you have conflict. Here are the things that bother me. I feel some type of way when this happens, this happens, this happens. I feel some type of way when you bring up that one thing I did in 6th grade. It makes me feel embarrassed, especially when you bring it up in front of other people. It would make me feel better if we came up with a new story to make people laugh. How hard is that? How hard is that? If it's harder for you to really say how you're feeling, or say how you're feeling in a calm manner, it's okay to give yourself some type of structure for how you have hard conversations, right? So I feel however you feel when you, whatever their action is. When I feel this way, it makes me want to action. It makes me want to shut down. It makes me want to get angry. It makes me want to scream and cry. Those are real feelings. Instead, we can help come up with a solution. And if you don't have a solution, I don't really know how to solve this. Can we work together to find a solution? Boom. Now you've just told them how you feel. And if you still feel pent up, if you still feel like you have more to talk about it. Use that same structure until it's easier for you to really explain how you're feeling in a calm, kind manner. Yeah. If therapy has taught me anything, it's how to talk. Really, it's how to use my emotion. It's how to use my words when I feel emotions. It's how to put words to emotions and talk and share them with other people. Because that used to be me. Like, I used to be a D1, as my friend says, a D1 crash out. Okay, I used to be the one screaming, crying, yelling, ignoring people, isolating, all the things, all because I did not have the words to express my feelings, all because I did not feel like people really cared, all because I did not want to have conflict. I have this habit even now where I'll feel some type of way. Like in my relationships, I'll feel some type of way and I'll be like, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to start a fight. Well, who said it had to be a fight? Who said it had to be an argument? You know how to use your words, and I'm sure they do too. You're both grown. Why does it have to be a fight? And that's another thing. Like, some of us avoid confrontation or conflict because we always associate it with like big blow up fights. We can change the narrative on how we communicate with each other. We can change the narrative on how we talk to each other, where we spend more time talking in voices like this, calm, stable voices like this, even when we're anxious, even when we're angry, instead of yelling really loud at each other and throwing things and crying and screaming and all the things. Like, it's okay for emotions to come up, but it's important that we know how to handle our emotions as well and talk each other through those things. So yeah. So if you feel like you can't speak calmly, if you feel like you can't voice your opinion without disrespecting the other person, without raising your voice and screaming at the other person, then you need to step away until you can. You need to step away until you can, because you want to make sure y'all have a level playing ground. Y'all want to make sure you're being respectful to the other person. Like, you want to make sure that it's still a healthy space for the both of you. Yeah. And so the last thing I'm going to say is this. If you keep running away from conflict, confrontation, or hard conversations, you are always going to be unsatisfied in your relationships. Your romantic relationships, your platonic relationships, your familiar relationships. If you are a woman hoping and praying to get a husband, if you are a man hoping and praying to get a wife, but you haven't worked on how you speak up when things bother you, you might as well keep waiting. Period. You might as well keep waiting, because ain't no way you gonna meet your kingdom spouse and you letting the devil attack your mind. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. If you are planning to have friends that you take to the top, friends that you have businesses with, friends that are in your wedding, friends that are rich with you, friends that you plan to make investments in the long run, but you haven't tried making hard conversations, you're always avoiding conflict, give that up. Give that dream up right now. You are always going to be some type of unsatisfied. That just made me think of Hamilton. If you don't have hard conversations. I just had a hard conversation with my best friend a couple weeks ago. And when I first started feeling some type of way, I distanced myself from her. I stopped talking to her. I was not as urgent answering her text messages. I was avoiding her. I created distance between her and I was avoiding her because I sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, okay, does a conversation need to be made, or is a relationship dead? You'll never know until you have the hard conversation, right? Okay. So I'm in this mindset where I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. I just want things to get better on their own. And I'm just expecting her to catch the hint and boom, for it to get better just like that. But I haven't talked to her about how I'm feeling. I haven't explained to her why I've been distant. We haven't made a plan for how the relationship is going to grow. I'm just being petty. I'm just being petty and defensive and all these things. I'm just being distant and not being a good communicator, all the things. Until I finally was like, whoa, do I care about this relationship or not? Do I want her in my wedding or not? Do I want to see us grow together or not? Because if I did, I would not treat her like this. If I loved her, I would not treat her like this. And the person I want to be does not avoid hard conversations. So it's important for me to get up and speak up when I have a problem, when I feel like there's an inconsistency in our relationship. So I did, and we talked about it, and we're working on it. Like, progress is already being made. And I say that to say that if you don't have the conversation, you don't know where your relationship could take you. You don't know. You'll never see the improvements. You'll never see the joy that you could have in your relationships if you don't have the conversations when you're not satisfied. That's it. That's it. Like, hard conversations don't have to be so intimidating. Use those tips. Use the I statements. If you need to, write down how you're feeling. Write down how you're feeling, the things that make you feel some type of way. If you need to write down the frequency of how often that happens, write it down. I know sometimes we got to feel like we got all our notes together before we bring something up. I understand that. Write it down. But don't avoid the conversation. It needs to be had. That's it. That's it. I feel like I was on my soapbox the entire episode. But that's because this is a topic I'm really passionate about. I feel like I hate passive relationships. I hate when things don't get addressed. I hate when people let them sweep under the rug, because that's how you end up like having spite towards other people. Like, that's how you end up having spite and grudges and pettiness, and that's how you end up having gossip. Anything that you can say behind my back, you should be able to say to my face. Period. And I should be able to do the same thing with you. If we're supposed to be friends, it should never be that. I should be able to come to you myself. But we can only do that. We can only help each other grow if we have those hard conversations. Yeah. That's it. I love y'all. And I hope that inspires y'all to have those hard conversations, because I know that you was thinking about a certain someone or a certain relationship as we was talking about this. And I feel like this has been a really, really good month. I'm excited for next month. Where we just talk about different ways we can take care of ourselves. And I really, really hope that y'all are enjoying season 3 so far. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all next week.